Hey everybody! Today we're talking about taking action and building some peace, and I have a very special announcement that I'm excited about. It is Ask Briar Live. Yay! Okay, I'm gonna have to get better at that. That is officially gonna have to get better. I'll tell you later. Okay. I was supposed to have a guest for my first slot, but she had to cancel, and I'm going to go ahead and do her question anyway because it was a really good one and I was kind of excited to dig into it. So the question was, how do we attract action takers and not dead end leads? And the answer is complete and total clarity about our offer and how we serve it. No, really, that's it. Like, I would like for there to be some not complicated answer, but it's that simple. If you want people to buy your thing, then you have to tell them very clearly what your thing is. You have to tell them why it benefits them and why they want to buy it. And you have to do it in as clear and succinct language as possible. And the more that you really work hard at being clear about what the offer is, who it's for, and why it will benefit them, the more likely they are to buy it. Another place where I think a lot of people run into issues is, should we talk about the price? And yeah, I think we should probably start talking about the price, especially when we're talking high ticket offers. And this is a personal choice, but you can go the way of not talking about your prices, hiding them behind long sales pages or elaborate funnels, and getting people to a call, which in some cases they were reluctant to be on in the first place. But by the time we've gotten them here, they've realized they don't have the cash and you've lost a lead. Now, when we're clear and upfront about our prices, we have the potential to lose a lot of leads. I know that my pricing points on my website over the years have led me to lose a lot of customers who look at it and go, oh, I can't afford that. The question I think that is really important to ask is one of longevity. If I've hidden my prices and I have to go through your very elaborate sales funnel to get to a price, at the end of it, if I can't pay it, how likely do you think I am to come back the next time? Probably not very likely. The problem seems to me as though because we have not nurtured our ideal client in a way that allows them to know the price and to know what the offer is and to know whether or not it serves them, then by the time they get there, they're not going to be, and if they can't pay it, they're never coming back. Meanwhile, in terms of longevity, and we've talked about this before, but I will state the numbers again. It is estimated that approximately 80% of customers spend or make the purchase after the first 90 days within 18 months. So we've got this whole well over a year span, a year and 3 months in which to cultivate a long-term relationship with them. And if then I have been clear and upfront about my pricing and I am well aware of what a relationship with you is going to look like long term, then by the time we get to a buying conversation, I'm ready to invest because I already know what it's going to cost. And I'm excited to spend that money with you. And I have potentially long term saved to make that work with you, have made money or made room on a credit card for this expense. There's a lot of ways in which, especially when we're talking high ticket offers, that revealing the price earlier on in the process can be a real benefit. Now, as a marketer, should you put it right out there right away? Mm, that's kind of a personal question, and it's up for debate. Do you want to put it in all of your social media posts? Probably not. Do you want to put it on your sales page? I would recommend it. Do you want to put it in conversations? Yeah, probably. If I know generally how much you cost, then I am much more likely to have a frame of reference, right? And I want to have that frame of reference for the work that we're about to be doing. Because if I don't, then I just don't know what the quality is going to be. If I have a frame of reference for the work and what it entails long term, and I have been with you for potentially 6 to 18 months as a person, and I have seen how you interact with me, the potential client, then maybe the work is going to be just as good. And I know what it costs, and I'm willing to pay it. And that makes the buying transaction just so much easier. So ultimately, it's not about attracting people who are potentially action takers in that sense of it. It's about being clear in your language and marketing who you are for. And when people know who you are for, they will either self-select themselves in or they will self-select themselves out. And we like it when people opt out of our processes without us having to do a lot of the work. It's great when people unsubscribe from our email newsletter. It's fantastic when they unfollow us because we know that we are being clear in our messaging and in how we are interacting with our clientele. They're not the right people for us, and that's wonderful news. So that's how we get people who are more likely to take action with us. All right, last week I talked about how we go about crafting our at-home sanctuaries. And this is obviously something that I have been working with for a while, working on and helping you with in various and assorted places. So I'm not going to hit too many of those highlights. What I want to talk about today in particular when it comes to creating your at-home hideaway, the place that you feel comfortable, the place that you are escaping from the nastiness of this actual real world that we all have to live in right now, because we can't do anything about it. So we have to take care of our own mental health, right? That's where we're at. When we are cultivating these spaces, if we've not had them before, we frequently run into resistance from ourselves and from potentially anyone else we might live with. And if we have a shared space, when we are creating sanctuary, we have to get some buy-in, right? When I figured out that I wanted to turn my bedroom into a jungle, I had to get some buy-in from my husband. When I decided that I wanted to alter our housekeeping routines and structures so that they were not so oppressive for me, I had to get buy-in. So when we're talking about building the sanctuary, one of the things we really have to look at is the ways in which it affects and involves the other people in our life. And if you don't have a shared space, go nuts. Do whatever you can do to make your own personal sanctuary an actual sanctuary. Build your rituals, build your retreats, build your little corners where you have different things. Build your art supplies in one place and your meditation corner in another place. You can really do all of those things when you don't have shared spaces. When you have shared spaces, you run into a situation where my yoga mat is exactly where my husband likes to take off his shoes at the end of the day. And we are constantly butting heads about whether that's my yoga space or his shoe space. It's not his shoe space. I have shoe racks. It's not his shoe space. Either way, we still have to negotiate shared spaces. So making your sanctuary yours and making it actually feel like a sanctuary requires that you get that buy-in. So let's talk about some of the best ways to go about doing that. One of the things that I have learned after 20 years of marriage is that if I can make it my husband's idea, it's much more likely to work. And this is helpful with children and employees and spouses of all genders as a technique I have found. Figure out a way to make it their idea. And you just make nice suggestions. Wouldn't it be nice if? I wonder what would happen if. Have you considered, have you thought about what it might look like if this was over here? Or if we did this with this space? When we're cultivating shared spaces, we have to take into account our other habitants' needs and wants too. So with kids, it's really easy to get buy-in from them for cultivating better shared spaces if you really ritualize their own personal spaces. And I found this to be true for partners and as well, but it's always been true of my kids. If I want to get buy-in for what goes in the living room or how we should collect and gather shoes or where all of the blankets are stored, these are just some of my particular household pet peeves, then I help make my kids' spaces this place that they want to be. So I need buy-in from my oldest daughter, then it's about hanging up some new posters for her in her room. If I want her to be better about laundry, we figure out ways to accommodate laundry in her room, in her space, so that she's buying into the relational aspect of it everywhere else. In general, kids are pretty good about sharing space if we lay out very clear boundaries for what that looks like. So if there are toys everywhere, and we homeschool, so I have a low threshold for disaster. I can't deal with it. It's just too much for my jangly nerves. And over the years, we have cultivated a lot of different systems and rituals and things that we do. But what I have found works best for my children is small groupings of things. So all of the army men come out and then they get put away. And all of the dinosaurs come out and then they get put away. And all of the felt friends come out and then they get put away. In shoeboxes with lids or some other kind of container. And the buy-in for my sons in particular has been allowing them to play in whatever ways that their creative little hearts desire, within the constraints of we're playing with this thing right at this time. We've gotten the cars out, we're playing with the cars, we're going to put the track down, we're going to play with cars for however long we play with cars, and then when we're done, we pick it all up and we put it away and we put the track away. And when it's car time, it has to be okay that we're driving on walls and coffee tables and in places where mommy would be just absolutely insanely annoyed by the driving. But it's car time. So we are making allowances for the play in order to get the accommodations for my sanctuary. And that's how that math works out with my kids. And it's worked for many years with varying age groups of varying degrees. If I can get them to have buy-in, right? If I can get them to believe that it is worth their effort and their time to do things my way, because they will then get to have this particular interaction. They'll get to play with the toys their way. Then that's an exchange that usually works out fairly well for us. I've used that for crafting my sanctuaries over the years. I've used that for crafting our schedules. The more buy-in they have, the more participation I get from them. And in general, that's true for my partner too. I just don't like to apply, quite the same rules. So with my partner, when we're talking about buy-in, especially for spaces, one of the things that we're looking at is what's his, what's mine, what needs to be where. One of the things that drives me absolutely insane is the clutter on the dressers. But they're his dressers. We have 3 in our bedroom. One is my sock dresser, and then I have my big dresser, and then he has his dresser. The top of my dresser is an altar, so it's generally free of clutter. It has stuff on it, but it's free of clutter. The top of my sock dresser is his nightstand, which inevitably ends up with nightstand clutter. And the top of his dresser has his stuff on it, which inevitably ends up with clutter too, because clutter happens. Whether I like it or not, the clutter happens. So navigating those shared spaces, because I can't make him, he's a grown-ass man. I can't tell him, no, you can't put your shit there. That's not how partnership works. So I have to discuss with him then, what will make it easier for you to store your shit in a way that makes it cohabitable for everyone here, so I don't have to look at piles and jumbles of shit on your dresser. Oh, well, if we get a bin like this, perhaps, or if I have jars like this, say, then I can store my shit in it, and then you won't have to look at jumbles all over the dresser. And it's done. It's cohabitation in negotiation, right? To make these kinds of sanctuary shifts work, we have to really figure out where the lines are. So my annoyances aren't going to be your annoyances. Shit on the dresser is probably not the line for you. It might be socks on the floor. Whatever it is, you have to figure out where those lines are, and then you have to figure out where the points of negotiation are. And then you have to try and come together and try and make them work long term. And I come back to the note that it's really important that a partnership is able to make these kinds of agreements and concessions and work arrangements. It's not a partnership if you're the one doing all the work. So figure out how to come together with your partner on the places where things don't feel like a sanctuary for you. Figure out how to work with your kids on getting them to buy in to the best ways to make things feel like a sanctuary. Because ultimately what you're looking at is potentially 5 months of winter, cold, stuck inside, no place to go. It's going to be a rough time. COVID is already on the rise. It's looking to get much, much worse. And if we're going to be home, then we have to make home the best possible place it can be. It has to feel good to be there. So you have to figure out what it feels like when it feels good, and then start building those rituals in. Okay. Finally today, a last note before I end a little bit early. So Thursday will be the 6-year anniversary of my son's death. I am taking the rest of this week off. I have a lovely outdoor lunch on a patio with friends on Friday. It's this little piece of normalcy that I've not had in many months that I am quite looking forward to. I don't know what we're all going to do in the winter. Outdoor heaters are a booming industry right now, I hear. But after that, I am coming back next week, and this show is going to be syndicated on the Helium Radio Network, which I am super excited about. We're going to be on the After Dark channel because I swear like a sailor, and this is where cursors go. We go on the After Dark network. So both Ask Briar twice a week and the newest releases of Latchkey movies will all be syndicated on Helium now. I'll have more details for you as I have actual places that you can go and listen and download, but I'm super excited about expanding my audience and getting to grow. So it's very exciting for me, and it's been a great piece of news to start off my October. I am already filling out work slots with me. I have one more long-term building position open. I have already filled my scholarship. And if you would like to work with me, the way in which to do that is to set up a funnel map. I will drop the link in the comments. We go over all of your prospects and all of your products, and then we take a look at the shortest path to profit. So that is the plan that we build for you in a funnel mapping session. It's 60 minutes. It's $555. It is amazing, and I love doing them, and I have room for quite a few more in this month because that is just about all I am actively selling. So if you would like to work with me, please let me know. I would love to have you. And on that note, I am going to peace out and spend some time trying not to go crazy this week. So yeah, it's a great time. I will see you all next week. You have a lovely week. Bye now.